What's going on, everybody? Wanted to make this video today talking about Wade Barrett. If you haven't heard the news yet, it has been reported that Wade Barrett will be leaving WWE in the summer to pursue other things. Something that was mentioned, he wanted to be a soccer analyst. But to me, when I think about Wade Barrett and I think about him leaving WWE, I think about a talent that was way underutilized and very wasted in the company. Wade Barrett had all the makings to be a star. He had a good look, good size, could talk, put on a solid match. Pretty much everything you need to be a star in wrestling and in the WWE, but unfortunately for him, it never really panned out. Now, I'm not saying Wade didn't have any success in the WWE, because he had some success. He's a 5-time Intercontinental Champion, which is no small thing. That puts him up there puts him on the same list as guys like Razor Ramon, Chris Jericho, so it's no small feat. I know the Intercontinental title doesn't really mean too much nowadays like it did back in the day, but it's still, to win it multiple times, to win it 5 times, it's still pretty good. It's still a good thing. He's a King of the Ring winner, which again, nowadays doesn't mean much. It's pretty much just something to have, give you a crown, give you a cape, and they'll call you King Barrett or King Sheamus, or whatever the case may be. Back in the day, back in the 90s, when King of the Ring was first introduced, it was a big deal. It pretty much meant you were on your way to bigger and better things in the company. And the same was for the Intercontinental title. The Intercontinental title, back when guys like Diesel and Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon were holding it, it pretty much meant that you were going to be the next guy, and the next title that you were going to hold would be the WWE title. The Intercontinental title back in the day was known as the workhorse title, because the people that wore it were guys that could put on solid matches, really good matches, guys that were good hands. And I think it's been the past few years, it hasn't really meant as much, neither has the U.S. title, but I think you see a guy like Kevin Owens holding it, Dean Ambrose holding it. I think that could bring it back to its previous prestige, because those guys are very good workers. They put on very good matches. But back to Wade Barrett, like I said before, wasted talent. I remember I stopped watching WWE probably like 2009 for a little bit. I was very tired of the John Cena crap, and just all that other crap that was going on back then. But when I came back into watching wrestling, I remember I came back around the time the Nexus was happening, and I believe I was watching when the Nexus angle officially debuted, when they took out Cena and they destroyed the ring and they destroyed everything, and I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. This is something we haven't seen in a while. And I remember Wade Barrett always stood out. He was the leader, but he always stood out. He was always just, you looked at him and you said, this guy could be something special. He just had a presence about him that I thought was very dominant and had a lot of promise. But after the Nexus angle, he didn't really. He was on his way. I remember. I think it was 2011 or 2000. I believe it was 2011 or 2012. He was having that feud with Randy Orton, and he was being featured pretty prominently. And there was actually a rumor going around that he was supposed to win Money in the Bank. And you win Money in the Bank, it's pretty much a guarantee that you're going to win the title at some point. So he was on his way. He was having a good feud with Randy Orton, and then one night on Raw, I remember I was watching it. He was in some sort of multi-man match, fatal 4-way, fucking 6-man, I don't know. And Big Show tosses, I believe it was Dolph Ziggler tosses, somebody got tossed on Wade Barrett to the outside, and Barrett dislocated his elbow. And I remember watching, and, Barrett was writhing in pain. He was hitting the ground. He was swearing and all that kind of shit. I said, whoa, this isn't good. This looks bad. And sure enough, he dislocated his elbow. And he was out for a little bit, and then he came back. And he had the whole Barrett Barrage deal. They did the vignettes of him, doing the boxing and whatnot. And he came back, and he had the beard. And I felt like what he was doing at the time could have skyrocketed him to superstardom, but again, WWE didn't really do much with him. He was floundering in the mid card. He had a couple IC title runs, but after that initial injury, WWE just took the rocket off his back. When you say that a guy's getting pushed to the moons, they say they strap a rocket on his back. Well, they took it off Barrett for some reason. I believe they did that because maybe they felt Barrett was too injury prone. And I feel like they do the same thing with Ziggler. Ziggler, who has showed a lot of promise and who has continued to show a lot of promise, just hasn't gotten anywhere. I think it's because Ziggler's had multiple injuries in the past, and I don't think WWE trusts him if they put, if they want to put him in a major angle or put the title on him. They don't know if this guy's going to get injured, and then he's out for 6 months to a year. So, it reminds me a lot of Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre was pretty much the same. He had a lot of talent, showed tremendous potential, was pretty much an all-around solid performer, and they put the rocket on his back when he came in. Vince McMahon said, "Oh, he's the chosen one. He's Drew McIntyre. He's the chosen one." They put the title on him, and it just went downhill. But it's not all bad for Wade Barrett. If he decides to stay in wrestling, I'm sure TNA will welcome him. Can't talk. Hell, they even might put the title on him. You look what they did with Christian when Christian left the company and went to TNA. They put the title on him, and he was a big deal over there. Same thing could happen to Wade Barrett, but the indies are popping right now. He could go to Ring of Honor, Evolve, Dragon Gate. He can go to Japan. Japan is very hot right now. New Japan Pro Wrestling. He can go to many places and become a big star. But whatever he chooses to do, I hope that he excels, and I hope he succeeds at it. It's going to be tough to see Barrett go because he was somebody that I was always a fan of, whether he was getting pushed or whether he was floundering in the mid-card. I always liked Wade Barrett. I always thought he was a solid worker and I could have a solid match. And like I said, I always thought he could be something more than he was portrayed to be. That's pretty much it.